How's everybody doing? You guys fabulous? You look fabulous. Are you excited to be in Atlanta? That's right, man. We're at Coverings. You're going to leave better than you came here with. You're going to have some tools to put in your business and be more profitable. My name is Rob Roderick, and I'm with the National Tile Contractors Association. I'm a technical trainer, and I travel all over the United States and do workshops and educational programs. And I have with me Luis Batista. He's our Spanish-speaking trainer. We're so proud to have him. We've got a large group of tile installers. Their primary language is Spanish, and so now we have Luis who can do these presentations for them. What we're going to talk about today is exterior installations, and specifically, we're going to talk about wall installations. Some of the things to think about on an exterior is it's not the same as an interior. You know, an interior, there's controlled environments, controlled temperatures. With an exterior, we've got to deal with much broader and wider ranges of temperature. We have to deal with water getting into the surface of our installation. And a lot of people are under the impression that tile and grout is waterproof. And you know, it may be waterproof in the sense that water won't hurt it, but it's not waterproof in the sense that water can't permeate it. Water can pass through, and when it does, it can really create some situations. Another important thing to think about with exterior installations is making sure we have the right products. Not all the thin sets and not all the grouts are appropriate. We want to think about using some of the higher grade thin sets and the higher grade grouts. The reason being is they have latex and polymers in them, which kind of slow that advancement of water. We want to keep water outside of our installation if we can. There's basically 3 exterior wall methods in the TCA handbook, and one thing that we always encourage people to do is follow the methods that are found in the TCA handbook and in ANSI. These are proven methods. If you follow them, you will have success. They can increase your profitability and decrease your liability. So when we look at the TCA handbook on exterior walls, there's 3 methods. We've got an example of 2 of them here. One of them is over studs, and it talks about having either a vapor barrier or having a waterproof membrane. And it leads you to the building codes. It says, look at the local building codes. Well, why doesn't it just say one way or another? That was the question that I had. Well, environments are different. You know, places in the Southwest where it's hot and dry and the interior has a lot more moisture, the water vapor transmission is trying to go one way. And if we go to another place, let's say Minnesota, where it's much colder and it's dry outside and it's more moist inside, the water's trying to go a different way. So you have to look at local building codes. But here's an example of a vapor barrier. And you can see Luis has overlapped it. He's going to go ahead and install another piece, and it's in a shingle type of overlap. We've also got some cement backer board that he's going to install, and there's some appropriate things or some things we need to think about when we're installing board like this. We need to use the right type of screws, and our handbook talks about using alkaline resistant screws. Reason being is, of course, cementitious products, there's alkali in it, and of course they can deteriorate. Those screws can deteriorate over time, so we want to use the right type of fasteners. And we also want to fasten it according to the schedule that the manufacturer of that board wants you to have. And when I say schedule, the pattern, which is usually about 8 inches in the field and 6 inches around the edges. I'll move this piece over here for you. Also, say again?
Not every HardieBacker is for exterior.
Yeah, not every board is for exteriors. That's a good question, including, you know, HardieBacker has a product called HardieBacker 500 that will work, but regular HardieBacker is not approved for exteriors. So when we install this board, we want to be conscious of having expansion joints. That's a big thing with a exterior job. There's a lot of thermal expansion. I was in Portland, I told this story earlier, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was 80 degrees in Portland and sunshiny, which is kind of odd because, you know, Portland's a wet city. But the sun was out that day and it was 80 degrees. And one of the tools that we can use is a laser thermometer. That's a big deal when it comes to installing tile outside. most of the setting materials, here's a laser thermometer. You guys seen this before? Basically, I could just point it at the wall and they could give me a temperature reading. It says it's 76 degrees. So anyway, I was in Portland, 80 degrees, ambient air temperature. The concrete was right there in front of me. The sun was hitting it. Pulled out my little laser thermometer. I shoot it. Can you guys guess what the temperature was of that concrete? Say again? It was 120 degrees. 120 degrees. Now, these thin set and grout manufacturers, they want you to use their products usually around 50 to 80 degrees. Now, I want you to notice, Luis is putting a gap between these sheets. That's an important part of the installation here. The board manufacturer wants you to do that. And he's staggering these sheets. We don't want to set these sheets up where we have four corners together. That staggering of it gives it some added support. But this is a tool that you really need for exteriors. Another thing that you want to think about is when you're installing outside, of course, we have to deal with wind. And when that wind can blow across our wet thin set, our thin set can skin over. And when it skins over, it doesn't function properly. We also think about the temperature of the surface and how it can pull moisture out of the thin set and weaken the thin set. So it's a good idea to have shading and maybe a block from the wind, or just be very aware of what the environment is doing to your setting materials. One way to check that to see if your thin set is still functional is just touch the thin set while it's wet. See if it sticks to your finger. If it sticks to your finger, you know it's still working. Of course, if you touch it and you just put a dent in it and it doesn't stick to your finger, then you've got issues. So we got a stagger here. We talked about alkaline resistant screws. We also have to have alkali resistant tape. Have a cut to go in there?
Yep.
Got one more piece to go in.
Got one more piece.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and put some tape on it. So basically, we've got our 1/8 inch grout joint. Now we need some alkaline resistant tape, and we're just going to use thin set and put over this board. We got our vapor barrier. Again, look at your local building codes to see if they would rather have a vapor barrier or possibly a waterproof membrane. The other side, we're going to do a different method in the TCA handbook. We're going to go over masonry stuff. So basically, there's three surfaces on an exterior wall that there's methods for. One of them is wood or metal studs, which this is a representation of. The other one is masonry, which would be, concrete block or brick. And the third one is concrete, so a concrete wall. We got our thin set there.
You want me to install the other piece of bucket board?
I'll go, yeah, that's okay. We'll just do this one little place here, and then we'll switch it around to our cementitious block. I wouldn't worry about that piece. Let's not worry about that. Move some stuff out of the way here while Luis works on that. Luis has been in the industry for about 28 years?
27 years. 27 years.
27 years, and I've been in the industry for 27 years. So one of the services that we offer at the NTCA is technical support for our members. And if I had to say what were some of the biggest issues that I've seen or phone calls that I've gotten, it's definitely been about exterior decks, exterior jobs, and showers. Those are the two biggies. Those are the problem areas. So we're glad to talk about that. Let's spin this around, Luis, so they can have an idea what this. I'm really proud of this other side. And I hope you guys are going to like what you see. A couple of old tile guys made a fake block wall. Does that look pretty good? We just came up with that. We used some tape, we used some patch. It looks pretty real, doesn't it? We made that just for you, okay? So here's our other method that we can do. We can go over masonry products, and you can see we're going to need to float that out. There's basically standards for how flat a surface should be before we put tile on them. There's two standards. There's one set for smaller tiles, and there's one standard set for large format tiles. And so with the large format tile, our standard is we can't have any deviation of over 1/8 of an inch in a 10-foot radius and no more than a 1/16 of an inch in 24 inches. So when we get into a situation like this with this block wall, of course, we're going to have to skim it out, and we're going to have to prep it. It may be a good place to float some wall mud. We've already done that up here. We've already kind of prepped the wall, got it smoothed out. We're going to put a liquid applied membrane on here, and we're going to talk about making sure that we do that correctly. Lots of times what we've seen is people don't put the membrane on at the right thickness. So most of these, actually all these manufacturers pretty much have a wet film thickness that they want you to reach when you're putting this material on the wall. Oftentimes guys use rollers, and that's what we've got Luis using over here. He's going to roll this portion of the wall that we've actually already got kind of prepped and ready for tile and put some waterproofing on it. Have you guys seen this tool right here? If you're putting on these liquid applied membranes, this is the tool to have. This is a wet film gauge. And basically, if you look closely at it, we've got two teeth on both ends that are equal distance apart, okay? And then all the teeth inside between these two teeth are recessed back. And they have correlating numbers with those teeth. And that's the way we can measure the amount of material that we have on the wall. Let's go ahead and put some up.
Your material is good for exterior.
Yes.
Whenever you're using a product.
Right.
So we already did that.
Yeah. So thin set, your grout, your waterproof membrane, you want to make sure that it is the right amount. So let's stop right there, because that's typically what's done. Just one coat, it's on real quick. So most of the manufacturers, they want you to have about a 30 mil thickness. And if I look at this particular wet film gauge, and I can find on here where the 30 mil line is, it's right here. So the way we use this is we basically just put it in the material, rock it back and forth, and then if I had a piece of paper, which I do here, let's try a piece of this.
Right here.
I can set this on the paper. I don't know if it'll show on there. And rock it back and forth and see what marks I hit. Now 14 mil thickness is the lowest this will go. I didn't even get 14 mil thickness with this amount. So we need to put a little bit more material on it. Thank you, Luis. Go ahead and try to thicken that up just a little bit. Also, some manufacturers will say use a 3/16 inch V-notch trowel to apply that membrane. And when they use that V-notch trowel, they are putting on a gauged amount. We have to put a little bit more. So we're at 16 mil thickness. Basically, it's difficult to see on this paper, but you can see where that material touched the paper right at the 16 mark, this second tooth. Go ahead and put some more on there. Really put it to it for us, Luis. Put a ton of it on there. That's what I like. Maybe another big old heavy coat on top of that. Oh yeah, I'm liking his style.
If you put it on a flat.
Yeah, we need to put it on a flat surface. You could, we need to get some white paper. We're at 26 mils with that. So basically you just stick this in the wet material. If you have a white piece of paper, it'll work better. Touch it on the paper, rock it back and forth, set it next to it, see which number correlates with the last place that material hit. But this is something we see going on all over the country, people using waterproof membranes and maybe not getting the right amount on there. So we need to be aware of what the manufacturer wants us to have, and we need to know how to check it. And so I want you guys to be familiar with this tool and how to use it. How many members of the National Tile Contractors Association do we have here? All right, thank you guys. There's a few things I want to say. If you guys are in this industry, if you're a contractor, you need to be a member of the National Tile Contractors Association. It's a fantastic association. We've been around for 70 years. Nonprofit organization. We got 1,500 members across the United States, and that represents 10,000 installers. there's some wonderful benefits with being a member. Some of the benefits are that TCA handbook that I keep preaching about. If you become a member, we're going to send you one of these TCA handbooks. We've also got a great reference manual that we're going to send you, and it's set up in a problem, cause, cure format. So if you have a problem, you can look it up and see what the cause was and figure out what the cure is. Also, we've got great support from all of these manufacturers. You know, membership is $600 a year, but if you decide to be a member, our supporters will give you $2,000 worth of vouchers. That's for material, mortar, board, tile, tools. $600 investment to become a member, you get $2,000 worth of vouchers for different things like mortar and tools. And you get to select those $2,000 worth of vouchers out of a pool of $6,500 worth of vouchers. I see Latacrete in the audience. I think they give about $300. Thank you guys for that, supporting us. A lot of others, about everybody here is supporters of us, and we are so thankful for that. One of the big reasons that I was a member is technical support. You guys know we're in an industry where one step can make you thousands of dollars, and one misstep can cost you thousands of dollars. And you know, I don't know how many times I went to bed thinking, hey, we've never done this before. I've never used this material in this way. I'm not sure if this is the correct thing to do. And I had a place to call. I had a place to get good answers. And that was a wonderful resource, having technical support. How many of you guys have heard of the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation? All right. Do we have any CTIs in the audience? All right. Got two guys here. Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, they are in the business of certifying installers. That's what they do. It's a third-party evaluation of your skills, and they have a booth down here. It's with the NTCA booth. Basically the same thing. It costs about $500 to take the test, but if you take the test and pass, luckily, all of these manufacturers, they support us. They want you to be successful. They want you to be certified. They will give you $1,500 worth of vouchers if you pass that test. Excuse me. You guys up? I thought I'd get your attention. I know what it takes. Okay. Now, sorry about that.
It's very beneficial for the members at NTCA University, where every employee can go through it. And there's a lot of modules where you can learn from the beginners, helpers, all the way to the manager can benefit from the NTCA University, a very, very low price. So check out our website, and you will get great benefit out of the university.
Yeah, NTCA Online University, terrific training. A lot of our members are using that in a way to gauge their employees' performance and also gauge when it's time to give them raises. It's terrific information. They have an apprenticeship program. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to put an apprenticeship program together, but that is a tremendous amount of work, and it's just $100 to members of the NTCA. One other thing, do we have any NTCA 5-star members in the audience? It's a great program. It's a little bit different than being a member. After you've been a member for a few years, you can apply for becoming a 5-star member. Those 5-star members are vetted in a couple of different ways. They have to have letters of recommendation. They have to show a certain performance level in their jobs and their work. They have to have a certain percentage of their staff that's been certified by the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation. And I've actually seen specifications come through. I'm from Springfield, Missouri. Seen 4 different specs come through where architects have said, we want someone who is either a 5-star contractor, or we want someone who has been certified by the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation as an installer. That's the way our industry is headed. You know, everyone is spending a ton of money on these projects. They want to make sure that they get a great job and get people that know what they're doing. So consider that. Also go down and see our installation experience right down the way. We spent a whole lot of time and energy with that. You need to go down and check it out. Do we have any questions in the audience about exterior wall installations? You've been a great audience, probably the best looking audience I've seen all day. You're my 3rd audience and you guys win. So thank you for your attention. And we'll talk to you again.